Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Elevating ITSM with Agentic AI. I'll now go over the brief agenda that we'll be covering in today's webinar. We'll start off with an Aisera overview. I'll then introduce the speaker for today. We'll go into the current IT landscape, then the challenges with legacy IT. Then Rahul will speak to Aisera's Agentic AI for ITSM, and we'll end with the Q&A portion. So here's a brief overview of Aisera. Aisera enables businesses to deliver transformative work experiences, enhance productivity, and reduce business-wide operational costs through its industry-leading Agentic AI platform. Founded in 2017, Aisera is backed by top-tier investors, including Menlo Ventures, True Ventures, Goldman Sachs, and more. Aisera's products and solutions are in production and delivering value at some of the world's most prominent brands and Fortune 500 enterprises. Some of these include Adobe, Aramark, Workday, T-Mobile, Gilead, Amgen, and more. Aisera is headquartered in Palo Alto, California, with a global workforce spanning across USA, Greece, India, Canada, UK, and France. I'll now move on to introducing our speaker for today. Rahul Guha, Aisera's VP of Product Management, will take us through the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Anisha. Whoever is an employee is either a consumer of IT or works in the IT department. So IT is something that we experience every day. However, the IT landscape is changing. It's getting more complex than ever. What I mean by that is the employees of the organization are expecting consumer-grade experiences. They're not, we cannot expect them to just send an email or make a phone call and wait for the resolution to happen days later. While at the same time, the IT organizations themselves are facing increasing complexity with respect to multi-cloud, with respect to a variety of and heterogeneous, applications and data repositories and whatnot. While that is happening, the IT teams themselves, are getting there's a huge drive for ROI and to show value with limited teams and limited budget. So these three aspects together makes the modern day ITSM different from traditionally how we used to think of IT in general. So the IT landscape, as I mentioned, is increasingly complicated. As you can see on the left-hand side, employees are increasingly using digital channels like Microsoft Teams, Slack, even we have seen WhatsApp being used, right? WebEx, and they're using a multitude of applications. We call it a heterogeneous kind of an application environment. In some cases, there is shadow IT, but people do need support for all these applications that they're using. And it's not just about the applications that you're using. They could be facing, account issues. They could be facing some login issues on their VPN. So all of this essentially translate into tickets that go towards the IT team. Now, IT at the same time, while supporting the employees, they are inundated with alerts coming from the monitoring systems that are monitoring these applications, that are monitoring their infrastructure, network, virtualization, and whatnot. As a result, they're inundated with noise coming from this monitoring system and these tickets and incidents coming from this end user employees. And their knowledge base is not a structured single point of information. The knowledge base itself is strewn all over the enterprise in some wiki, in some traditional legacy document repositories. They are the systems of records that they have to deal with, a multitude of systems of records. Many of them work on ServiceNow as expected. Many of them work on Ivanti and whatnot. So what essentially happens is that the IT help desk, instead of just having to work on IT issues, are having to work on the engagement piece of it, having to work on the how do we reduce the noise coming from this and understand the true incident, identify product issues early on, so that they can be solved, and the the services that they are supporting can be made better. So with this challenges of fragmented tooling, a lot of manual processes that exist in the IT teams today, as well as limited self-service, because the users are being asked to essentially create tickets, go to their service portal, uh, create tickets, right? Essentially means that you see a lot of reduced productivity, not just amongst the IT team members, the IT help desk, but also amongst the employees. The operational cost of maintaining a IT help desk is increasing. And at the end of the day, we are left with employees that are not very happy, not very productive, essentially unhappy users that are giving us lower CSAT. Now, the agentic AI is evolution of the generative AI and the AI landscape. And essentially, agentic AI helps us build autonomous AI systems that can reason over the information that it has, reason over the request or the issue that the customer is or the end user employee is making. It takes all that contextual understanding and takes decisions with the help of some of the tools that has been given to it, right? With or without human interventions. The reason I say with or without human intervention is because, in many cases, you want a human in the middle to approve something, but in many cases, the agentic AI with enough agency given to it can take over the work that the human was doing and take the action themselves. So on the right-hand side, we'll go through some of these use cases. You can see a very, straight ahead agentic AI representation of what a password reset might look like. All right. The based on the SOP of the organization or the policies of the organization, the agentic AI system can reset the password of the user using the password policies that it has. Now, the way we think about it, Aisera thinks about agentic AI is that every domain, including IT, is what's called a domain agent. Okay. So today we are talking about the IT domain agent because this is where the tasks are being performed. And each of these tasks are what's called a task agent. A task agent could be a very structured flow, which used to be called workflows of the past. But it could be very structured in that we know exactly what the steps need to be followed in sequence. We call it a process flow agent. So here you can start leveraging your existing service catalog workflows, your existing automations, any existing RPS that you have in the form of an AI agent. But that's not all. You also have the dynamic action agents where instead of having to write very sequential, set of steps, we let the AI decide what is the right action to take given the context and given what the user is asking about. So that we call a dynamic action agent. Analytics agents helps to go inside of any data repositories like Snowflakes and Databricks and gather the information based on what the business user is asking about. So gone are the days where the business user would have to ask for a report to be sent to them. Instead, they can the agentic AI can actually take that information and run the report for them, compose it into an email and send it back to them. That's the power of agentic AI that we are talking about. And it's not just about taking actions. Imagine answering questions. In many scenarios, we have situations where the same answer needs to be given for whatever that kind of intent is. So we call it the prescriptive knowledge agent. So this kind of go as per specific situations. Like if somebody has mentioned something about mental health. I mean, it's an IT domain, perhaps not, but you get the idea that we need to have the prescriptive knowledge being served to the end user, which doesn't change at all. Contrast that with the generative information retrieval. This is very useful for things like troubleshooting, where we can gather the AI agent can gather information from the public websites, from companies' internal documentation, from user manuals, product user manuals, and generate the list of troubleshooting and diagnostic steps based on the context that it has. So there, the generative information retrieval agent is very useful. User assistant agent, as I mentioned, can summarize, can write emails and whatnot based on what the user is looking for. So this set of task-based agents, which are available to any of the domain agents, essentially get orchestrated at the domain level to get the work done for the end user. And this is what is driving the high degree of resolution when we shift left self-service. That takes us to this visualization, which is where we see the enterprise moving, and we have already seen that happen with many of our customers, where the end users themselves, through the channels that they're communicating, like Teams, Slack, the dedicated sort of AI portals, which we call the AI Copilot, are able to resolve close to 75% of any issues, both requests as well as incidents, right? Without having to without having to create a ticket or without having to escalate. And the escalations in this world truly become exceptions rather than the rule. And the agents who are working on ServiceNow, on Zendesk, are left to only focus on these escalations rather than having to do manual work for each and every incident and request that comes to them. The reason that the agentic platform is able to resolve that high rate of user requests is because of the visibility and the agency it has over all the enterprise apps, as well as the knowledge and data repositories that you can see here. So given that Aisera already has an ecosystem of connectors and pre-built agents that can work off of any of these endpoints, gives us the capability to resolve at that high rate. Now, an agentic AI platform needs to complement your existing ITSM platform. It's not a rip and replace story. It is a complementation of the existing ITSM platform. So if you already have an ITSM platform like a ServiceNow or a BMC or Ivanti, it takes your existing service catalogs, it takes your existing knowledge base articles, it takes your existing workflows, and builds on top of it. It can identify what are the main drivers of user requests and incidents coming in while doing AI learning, and as a result of that, identify the most important AI agents to be built, which will resolve 75% of this user request. The agentic AI platform needs to be context aware. Context is very important. It needs to retain the context over the many turns of the conversation that is happening. It needs to be personalized and even carry over the context to multiple conversations that the same person is having. Privacy and security is paramount. When Aisera builds the agentic platform, that's the first thing that we think about. The data that comes to us is PII redacted. It is whenever it is persisted for analytics or for any other reasons, like you want to do feedback learning, any PII data is redacted. So there is no visibility in there. There are guardrails built in the agents themselves so that they are not allowed to answer certain set of questions or take certain set of actions that go beyond the SOP of the organization. They need to be proactive and autonomous. Gone are the days when I as an employee have to tell the user or tell the IT team that there is a problem happening with my login. It should be able to detect that I'm locked out of my AD and let me just click a button and say that, hey, your AD is now unlocked. It needs to be multimodal. So instead of having to say that, hey, I'm having this issue, I should be able to just take an image of the error message and upload it, right? And the agentic AI platform should be able to just reason over it and give me the right resolution. All right, so what does Aisera bring to the table in ITSM from an agentic AI perspective? So first of all, we bring the agentic AI platform, which is basically a combination of a fine-tuned foundation model like open source Llama, which is fine-tuned for IT ops domain, with IT ops ontology pre-built into that domain app. Okay. But IT is simply one of the domains. You can build any domain we come up with like packaged out of the box ontologies for each of these domains, as well as the ability to fine tune it based on the knowledge of the organization or the tickets of the organization. Now, on this agentic AI platform, we provide an AI co-pilot, which is how the agents are consumed for the employees. This co-pilot can be integrated into your existing channels like Teams or Slack, or it can be its standalone, AI portal that your employees can interact with. On the right-hand side, we have the Agent Assist, which is basically an AI widget for the L1 and L2 IT help desk agents who are already working on some sort of an agent desktop from either ServiceNow, Salesforce, Zendesk. But this provides the ability to get enterprise-wide information from all the data lakes, from all the repositories at the fingertips of the agent who don't have to swivel chair amongst multiple different applications. Now, inside the agentic AI platform, we have built an universal agent which is able to respond to employee queries across different domains, not just IT, but IT and HR. We have a lot of customers whose employees are asking questions about IT, HR, finance on the same channel. Universal agent is that interface. The system, since it is ingesting data from all these operational monitoring systems, all the incidents from what the user is reporting, can predictively detect any major incident or a problem and can mark it as such in the ITSM system. The service catalog that is part and parcel of any service request management system in ITSM is conversationalized in the agentic world. So gone are the days where the employee has to go to a portal and look for a particular service catalog item from amongst like 1,000 service, maybe 500 service catalog items, not find it, or maybe make the wrong request. So we conversationalize it. We make it so that the user can conversationally ask for it as well as fill out the form without asking any extra information that can already be gathered through the context. Ticket concierge is extremely important from a deflection perspective. This is where the AI agent is sitting inside the SOR waiting for incidents to be created. And when it sees an incident that it can resolve through the agency that it has across all these different systems, it reaches out to the employee who has raised that incident and essentially just offers a resolution. The agentic orchestrator, as I mentioned, at the domain level is extremely important because this helps us do contextual disambiguation as well as find the right resolution and verify that the resolution is correct and thus increasing the accuracy. The AI workflows and hyperflows are essentially the building blocks of the agents. We talked about that. The domain and task-specific LLMs ground the answer and make it easier to operate at a lower cost and with lower latency. We talked about the 100 plus out-of-the-box connectors across the ecosystem of all enterprise apps. The system looks at what is resolved and what is not resolved and identifies the knowledge gap, and it uses the generative AI capabilities and identifies the resolution from from a ticket that has been resolved by a human agent and generates knowledge from it. So it's automated a knowledge gap discovery and generation that helps us close the loop of this AI ecosystem. Agent assist we already talked about. It has next best action, which kind of is a very prescriptive thing that is shown to the human agent who's working on it so that they can take the right action based on the context of that incident. So when we talk about this, we talked about the employees because these are the people who are, where we are helping them shift left and let them resolve most of their own issues without having to create a ticket. We talked about the IT help desk agent. So I'm going from right to left. So we talked about the IT help desk agents where we provide agent assist, which is the AI across all the enterprise systems to get them the answers that they need in order to respond to the employees' questions. But that's not all. We also offer this conversational AI and the agentic AI platform for the IT service owners. This is a very important persona from an ITSM perspective because they are the business service and the technical service owners. So we identify, what are the outages that could happen, what are the major incidents that are affecting a particular, business service, and let them know. Here are a few use case just to make it more real. So for an employee, there are a lot of different things that like if I'm an IT organization, I know that my employees are asking for software to be provisioned, for licenses to be renewed, for their passwords to be reset, are needing help about setting a VPN and whatnot. So this is just a very small three kind of subset of the whole ecosystem of the type of IT requests that come to the IT table, which can be automated through AI agency. From an IT manager perspective, or not just IT manager, any manager perspective, manager of the employee perspective, we see requests like new employees having to be added to the distribution list, new employees being set up training and whatnot. The IT leader, on the other hand, is more focused on the performance and the functioning of the IT team. So they can go to the agentic AI system and ask about, ticket trends. They can ask about any analytics like MTTR, and also, from a cost reduction and cost containment perspective, ask the AI about unused licenses from an asset management perspective. The IT service owners are the ones in the IT team that own specific business services, as I mentioned, that we have people who are in charge of, say, the Salesforce application, or in charge of like quote to cash applications, in charge of email. So this is a very important group of important persona for us to make it real through agentic AI. So they can ask any questions like, hey, what is the status of the SLA for this, for my CRM service that I'm providing to my employees, right? Are there any major incidents that I should be aware of, right? Or what is the root cause and what is the current status of this particular incident? So we provide the entire gamut of use cases, starting from all the way to the employees to the service owners through various different ID functions. Now, this is an example of the old way versus the new way, right? And this is taking into account Mike's need to set up a VM for a certain period of time because he's in the middle of a project. In the older days, he would have to pick up the phone or go to the service catalog, create an RITM or some sort of request, and wait for the IT person to respond. If it was not automated, right, the ID person would respond with, I have asked for, we need approval from your manager. This email would be sent to the manager. The manager would probably not even know that an email with an approval request is pending. And then they would take a long time to get approved. And by the time when it gets approved, probably Mike's need for that VM has already disappeared. So we can make it agentic by removing all the friction in this particular process, by having the AI agent identify from the SOPs of the organization, the standard operating procedures that Mike would need an approval, deliver that approval notification to his manager on the channel that he's already working on, not on email, but on Teams channel where Rod, his manager, is already working on. He gets approved, and the AI agent immediately goes ahead and provisions that VM and creates an IAM account for Mike on that particular VM, taking only minutes rather than hours or days for the same request. Now, we talked about, very specific use cases in that slide, but, this spans across all the different sort of questions that come to the IT team. The spanning for, file sharing, looking up ticket data, identifying, network, whether there's a network issue undergoing, network outage notifications, application software, access management, licenses, letting people know that, hey, you are running out of license. I need to go ahead and add more licenses. User identity and security management. Very importantly, endpoint management, like knowing that something is happening on this person's laptop, notifying them and take the remedial action. And of course, IT cloud services, like we were talking about in the last example, where Mike needed some sort of a VM access. So this is basically a gamut of use cases that can be supported out of the box through agentic AI to reach that 75% auto resolution rate. But it just doesn't end there. We talked about shifting left and letting the end users and the employees self-serve with the help of agentic AI. But in a true ITSM end-to-end kind of wall-to-wall coverage of all ITSM processes, agentic AI has a lot to offer. From an event management perspective, the ability to detect anomalies across the stack, right? Starting from network, infrastructure, application, all the way to the experience layers, detect any IT anomaly, create the incident proactively, and start the incident management process by routing it to the right user, by providing the hypothesis of a resolution of the root cause in the incident management process saves a long time. With the set of incidents that have already been created, be able to identify if there is a product defect or a problem through AI helps with the IT team identify any root cause and any problem definition, any known error that they can be that can be worked on, or even like published out saying that, hey, this particular business service has this problem right now. Knowledge management, we already talked about, is kind of the backbone of the entire ITSM system. The agentic AI can help with identifying knowledge gaps as well as fill those knowledge gaps with, by auto creating knowledge articles. Request management or service catalog we talked about, right? We make the agentic AI can make it conversational, can identify the top requests, and can drive a better, more adaptive kind of service catalog for the organization. Change management is extremely important. We want to make sure that any change, both standard or emergency change that is put in place, has very low risk of causing a downtime or any sort of service degradation. And therefore, the AI can essentially look at all similar changes that happened in the past and let the change advisory board or the person who's implementing the change know that there is a risk to putting this change in the environment. Asset management, where we want to maintain the most up-to-date CMDB, or we want to understand from a software asset perspective, licenses and overuse or underuse of the licenses, AI can help us with that as well. So if we think of the agentic AI and we contrast that with what was happening, like what is happening in ITSM today with respect to the talent, the budget constraint, the user expectation, as well as the rising complexity, and contrast that with what happens when an agentic AI, for example, Aisera's agentic AI can be brought in to support the ITSM processes, we become scalable. The IT organization can now support the same amount of complexity or more new products getting introduced on the ID side without having to scale up on headcount. It provides 24/7 support. It's not dependent on humans to actually man the help desk because 75% of issues are being resolved by the AI agents themselves. It becomes more proactive. The satisfaction of the employees rises, their productivity rises because the AI agents are proactively and autonomously finding out issues and resolving them. It leads to enormous efficiency gains, both for the IT organization as well as for the employees. And last but not the least, it provides continuous insights. And we talked about one kind of insight, which is the knowledge gap. But we get insights with respect to what's not working, what are the top drivers of user requests continuously, and can provide feedback on that information to make the AI even better. So if we think about all this kind of benefits that are brought to the table because of agentic AI, let us talk about some of the results that we have seen when we work with companies putting agentic AI in their ITSM processes. We see, as we mentioned, 75% auto resolution rate for many of our customers. We see millions in cost savings, not just through higher ticket deflection across all channels and lowering of the escalations, right? But also license cost reduction, right? We see that we need lesser number of ITSM, what's called fulfiller licenses, in order to support the same number of employees in the organization. Productivity rises because users are not held up on specific IT issues, and these are getting solved autonomously and through the AI agents, and with a high rate of deflection, frees up employees' time as well as agents' times and reduces their need to do repetitive tasks. Of course, we have seen that the employee experience, as evidenced through ESAT and CSAT service, actually go up once agentic AI is introduced in the organization for IT. So with that, I just wanted to bring up a few customers. I mean, we work with a lot of global kind of, Fortune 500 type organizations, but this is just a subset and a snapshot of some of the companies that we have worked with. We worked with Amgen and Cisco, where their main goal was to elevate the employee experience. We worked with Gap, and a case study is already published on the website about their journey to make ITSM agentic, where it was all about increasing productivity of the employees and also the help and the service desk agents. With S&P Global, we have ingested, we ingest millions of alerts and incidents and tickets from across all the monitoring systems to make S&P Global systems, proactive. They cannot. I mean, being the ratings provider for the financial services companies in the world, they cannot go down, and that's what Aisera is helping them achieve. We transformed end-to-end operations at Aramark and at BDO with agentic AI. There are many more examples that you can find on our website. We kind of invite you to go and explore more, download the white papers and stuff. This is an example, like we talked about Gap. Ritesh, who worked very closely with us, is basically, he has a mandate to transform Gap's IT organization, essentially worked with Aisera, and drove this massive change in his IT organization, and the outcomes were for everybody to see in terms of the cost savings, in terms of the resolution, and in terms of the increased satisfaction that he drove. Now, as I mentioned, IT is one domain. Of course, it's one of the largest. We have a lot of customers, making IT agentic, but that's not all, right? The agentic ecosystem of the ecosystem of agents can actually benefit any shared service in the organization, be it IT, HR, finance, procurement, legal, sales ops, and whatnot. And our whole ecosystem of connectors into the enterprise apps that span these shared services help us not just make that particular shared service agentic, but also cross into domains. For example, an IT question can bleed into something that where an HR agent needs to be called. Using our universal agent framework, we can do that. And that makes the entire organization, the entire service organization agentic across all the shared services. This has been recognized, I'm very happy to say, last year by all three major analysts. Gartner, when they started their first GenAI Magic Quadrant for ITSM, put us in the leaders quadrant for the capabilities that we just discussed today. Forrester did a similar study, but for the entire EX, which includes IT, HR, facilities, and others, and we were covered in the leaders wave there as well. IDC did a similar study, and we were in the leaders quadrant there as well. Thank you very much. I will let Anisha sort of wrap up.
Thank you, Rahul, for those valuable insights. We'll now take the time to address a couple of questions that we got in the chat. First one is, how does Aisera ensure the security and privacy of sensitive IT data?
Look, that's an excellent question. And as I was mentioning during the presentation, that one of the core tenets of agentic AI from Aisera is a TRAPS framework. TRAPS stands for Trust, Responsible AI, Privacy, and Security. So that's a layer that's built into the agentic AI platform. So any sort of data that comes into our platform, for example, from knowledge repositories, from tickets, if it has got PII information, then it's redacted. Any sort of user query or utterance with PII information, unless it has to be passed on to some downstream AI agent or to some API, is redacted from any transcript that can have human eyes on it. And lastly, each of the AI agents are essentially guardrail against things like prompt injection attack, or for them to answer any questions that they're not supposed to answer, or to veer out into some domains that they're not supposed to, for which use cases they are not supposed to respond to. But so these are the trust framework essentially productizes that and brings it as part of the platform to enable secure AI agent architecture.
Thanks, Rahul. Second question. How do Aisera's AI agents know the context behind the IT requests?
Yeah, so the whole notion behind AI agents is that they are context aware. And for them to be context aware, the AI agents need to understand or know who the user is that's making the request. It knows about the user's, location, their department, their job role, and anything that the AI agent has access to, as has been given access to through, the what we call the user learning. Okay, so it uses that information along with information around permissions like ACLs and role-based access control to make sure that that the AI agent is not serving any document that they don't have access to or takes any action that goes against the security policies of the organization. To give you an example, if an employee asks about, say, office network configuration, most of them won't have access to it except for some IT service owners, and they will be given the answer that, hey, you know what, we cannot provide you with this document because you don't have access to it.
And last question. You spoke about Aisera's agentic AI being predictive. How early can Aisera detect an incident?
Yeah, so look at S&P Global, for example, right? I mean, one of the customers that we essentially, ingested alerts from their operational monitoring systems, and based on understanding of what could be going wrong, we predictively created incidents for them, right? So in this particular scenario, we have seen almost to the tune of 45 minutes in some cases in advance of some particular issue actually becoming an outage kind of scenario, that Aisera actually was able to detect it, and not just detect, but also offer remediation for those incidents.
Okay, well, that was all the questions that we could get to today. Just wanted to say thank you, Rahul, for your time and joining us today. And thank you all for joining. This webinar will be available on demand shortly.